One of these engines left thousands of dollars in deferred maintenance hiding beneath perfectly normal operation. Another looked almost untouched at 200,000 miles. And the smallest, cheapest engine in this test came closer to winning than anyone on the bench was prepared to see. We pulled 3 of the most common F-150 engines at 200,000 miles, put them on the teardown bench under identical conditions, and let the data speak. 3 engines, same mileage, same bench. The results were not what the spec sheets or the reputation suggested going in. Let us get into it. Before the teardown begins, if you want every F-150 engine breakdown, every maintenance deep dive, and every ownership comparison we produce, hit subscribe right now. This channel covers what happens inside these engines after real miles, not just what the brochure says. Subscribe and let's start with the favorite, the 3.5 Ecoboost, the favorite going in. The 3.5 Ecoboost has been one of Ford's flagship F-150 engines since 2011. Twin turbocharged, direct injected, one of the top tow-rated options in the lineup. The engine Ford put in the Raptor. When F-150 owners argue about engines, the 3.5 is usually at the center of that argument. The engine that proved a V6 could outpull a V8. The engine that changed how Ford thought about this truck. At 200,000 miles, the 3.5 Ecoboost showed something the spec sheet does not prepare you for. 3.5 Ecoboost, the intake valves. The 3.5 uses direct injection. Fuel sprays into the combustion chamber, bypassing the intake valves completely. There is no fuel washing over the valve faces the way port injection provides. Instead, crankcase lapers coat the back of the valves with oil mist that bakes into carbon deposits over time. At 200,000 miles, the accumulation was significant. This is a documented characteristic of the platform, not a surprise, but the cost to address it is real. Walnut media blasting at a shop runs $700 to $1,100 depending on the shop. Without it, airflow restriction builds, idle quality degrades, and the engine loses efficiency it never fully recovers. That is the first cost item waiting behind 200,000 miles of normal operation on this engine. 3.5 Ecoboost, the cam phasers. One of the most discussed wear points on high-mileage 3.5 Ecoboost engines is the cam phasers. The variable timing system uses oil pressure to actuate the phaser assemblies. At 200,000 miles under boost load, the wear shows. Phaser wear produces the cold start rattle that high-mileage Ecoboost owners recognize, a brief diesel-like clatter in the first seconds after startup that disappears as oil pressure builds. The phasers on this engine were in the range where most shops would recommend service. Replacement runs approximately $2,500 to $5,000 or more depending on how far the wear has progressed and what associated components need attention at the same time. That is the second cost item. 3.5 Ecoboost, the turbochargers. The turbochargers showed bearing wear consistent with sustained boost operation over 200,000 miles. Heat soak after shutdown was the most consistent contributing factor. When the engine shuts off immediately after a hard pull, oil circulation stops while the bearings are still at operating temperature. Oil trapped in the bearing passages breaks down and deposits on the bearing surfaces. Both units were in the range where a technician would note them as approaching service. That is the third cost item. 3.5 Ecoboost verdict. The 3.5 Ecoboost at 200,000 miles is not a failed engine. It's a complex engine that has been working hard, and the teardown shows what that complexity costs over time. What surprises most owners is how much these factors cost when they arrive together at the same mileage. Carbon service, phaser replacement, turbo bearing condition, 3 separate expensive items arriving simultaneously. The most capable engine in this test showed the most accumulated maintenance cost by the time it reached the bench. The favorite going into this test showed the most wear coming out of it. The 5.0 Coyote, the naturally aspirated alternative. The 5.0 Coyote V8 is the engine F-150 buyers choose when they want something uncomplicated. No turbochargers, no boost pressure, no charge pipes. A naturally aspirated V8 that makes its power by displacing 5 liters of air and fuel on every combustion cycle. After the 3.5 Ecoboost teardown, we moved to the Coyote. The difference was significant, but not as clean as the V8's reputation suggested it would be. 5.0 Coyote, the intake valves. The 5.0's port injection setup keeps the valves cleaner than the 3.5's direct injection. Fuel is sprayed into the intake port on every intake stroke, washing over the valve face and carrying away deposits before they accumulate. At 200,000 miles, the intake valve condition on the Coyote was meaningfully better than what we found on the 3.5. nowhere near the threshold where walnut blasting becomes necessary. Port injection is older technology. At 200,000 miles, that older technology is the difference between clean valves and valves that need a shop visit to restore airflow. 5.0 Coyote, the VCT system, and real concerns. The Coyote uses variable cam timing on both camshafts, and at 200,000 miles, the timing components showed measurable stretch and VCT wear. Some third-generation Coyote owners have reported oil consumption issues, and Ford has addressed certain related concerns in service communications. The unit on this bench showed consumption in a range most technicians would call manageable, but it was present. The timing chain condition was something a shop would note for monitoring. The VCT wear was less severe than the cam phaser wear on the 3.5, but it wasn't absent. These are real concerns. The Coyote is not the flawless engine its reputation sometimes suggests. The VCT wear and oil consumption on certain builds are documented issues, and at 200,000 miles they were visible on the bench. What they are not is the layered complexity of a high-mileage twin-turbo direct injection engine. The Coyote's problems at 200,000 miles are fewer, simpler, and less expensive to address than what the 3.5 showed. 5.0 Coyote verdict. The naturally aspirated architecture meant the 5.0 spent 200,000 miles making power without building boost pressure. No intercoolers to fail, no charge pipes to crack, no turbo bearings absorbing heat soak after every hard pull. The engine works within a narrower thermal range than either EcoBoost engine, and 200,000 miles in that narrower range produced a simpler wear picture, with the real caveats that belong in any honest assessment. The Coyote had taken the lead, but the margin was far smaller than anyone expected. The engine coming up next is the one nobody on the bench expected to be this close. The cheapest engine in this test, the one buyers choose to watch the monthly payment, nearly won the entire thing. Subscribe right now so you catch every video like this. Hit the button and let's get to the result that changed the conversation. The 2.7 Ecoboost, the engine nobody expected. The 2.7 Ecoboost is the engine most F-150 buyers choose when they're watching the monthly payment. Smaller displacement, lower sticker price, adequate towing for most real-world use. The sensible option, not the Raptor engine, not the towing champion, the practical choice. Nobody expected the cheapest engine in this test to challenge the winner. At 200,000 miles, that is exactly what happened. 2.7 Ecoboost, the block. The 2.7 Ecoboost uses a compacted graphite iron block, the same material used in heavy-duty diesel engines. CGI is significantly stronger and thermally more stable than the aluminum block in the 3.5. At 200,000 miles, the 2.7 block showed less concern for bore wear than an aluminum block might under similar thermal stress. The structural foundation of this engine at 200,000 miles was in better condition than the larger EcoBoost at the same mileage. 2.7 Ecoboost, the intake valves. The 2.7 also uses direct injection, which means the same carbon accumulation pathway as the 3.5. What we found on the bench was meaningfully lower carbon than the 3.5 showed. The deposits were visible but less advanced. The 2.7 is a smaller engine running at lower absolute boost levels for most of its operating life. Less heat, less blow-by through the PCV system, less oil vapor reaching the intake valves. The accumulation rate appeared genuinely lower than the larger twin-turbo engine. The deferred maintenance cost that was waiting behind the 3.5 was not waiting at the same level behind the 2.7. The 2.7 Ecoboost, the turbocharger. The 2.7 uses a twin-scroll single turbo rather than the twin turbo on the 3.5, one unit instead of two. At 200,000 miles, the turbo bearing condition on the 2.7 measured closer to the Coyote than to the 3.5. That was the single most surprising finding on the bench. The engine everyone expected to finish last on turbo condition finished within range of the naturally aspirated V8. Part of that result belongs to the engineering. Part of it belongs to how people use the 2.7. The 3.5 Ecoboost attracts owners who bought it specifically to tow. The 2.7 attracts owners who wanted a practical daily driver. 200,000 miles of sustained towing load looks different on the bench than 200,000 miles of daily commuting. The 2.7's result reflects both the engine and the owner. 2.7 Ecoboost, the cam phasers. The cam phasers and timing system showed less wear than the 3.5. The twin-scroll single-turbo imposes less thermal stress on the engine oil, which means cleaner oil pressure reaching the phaser actuators across the service life. Less heat on the oil, less wear on the phasers, less maintenance costs waiting at high mileage. 2.7 Ecoboost verdict. Nobody expected the smallest engine in this test to finish this close to first place. The engine everyone bought to save money nearly won the entire thing. The final verdict is next, and it includes the finding that may be the most important single takeaway from this entire test. If outright durability is what you're measuring, the 5.0 wins this test. If durability per dollar spent is the metric, accounting for the purchase price difference, the simpler maintenance picture, and the wear we found on the bench, the 2.7 may be the most impressive engine Ford has built for the F-150 in the last 15 years. That may be the biggest finding of the entire test. Drop a comment and tell me which engine you own and how many miles you're at right now. I read every single one. The Ford Longevity Blueprint covering maintenance patterns, service checkpoints, and what to inspect on any high-mileage F-150 between 100,000 and 200,000 miles before small issues become expensive ones is linked in the description. Subscribe right now so you don't miss the follow-up video where we break down exactly what to inspect